fight for you to
Keep it slow po, hang out the side with no rope. Sit in the tub, flick the remote. So, pull up, jump out in a strut form. And if anybody got problems, I'ma cut for 'em. In this atmosphere, then you can disappear. Smoke big shells, feel like tailbacks looking for holes. Drag my ass down the air like a cab. Start that ass, leave your shirt open like an A-Rab. Making money off these breakdown slabs. We got this on, get your own. Better move on before your boat gets split. You won't forget the DL, put it down to get out and sit down.
Sunday morning makes me feel so godly. Pardon me if I shake your soul.
I think of my problems, never run for my phones. Dip on face mask, hit the juke button, then leave a sucker wrong. Like he just tried to shove a hole in your bitch nose. On all fours, you hit him high, hit him low. For this dope, your heart gon' bust out here, cause we coming full speed. We getting dick, we lift you up off of your feet. At the lip of the glass, sipping victory. Clean cut, but I stay dirty. You play fair, I cheat. I spot this pig in your face like you never stop eating poker feet. And disease, the same careers. Today's just on this career. I all pro Hall of Famer with no feels, blood, sweat, and tears.
Sunday morning makes me feel so godly. Pardon me if I shake your soul.
The rich boy got that bag cause he is rich. The poor boy got a bag cause he is poor. The bad boy got that bag cause he won't both. The good girl got it good cause she got game. And runs it on undeveloped fellas considered lame. Same like mechanics do it. Baby who need her Buick repair don't have no knowledge of what a break you is. Make up with turn to nickel, squirm and tickle. We wiggle, now your emotions like a deal pickle in autumn. Fall into the bottom of black holes. Make a left on nothingness cause that's where I'm at. Cold as summer, I got your number, you got my number. Let's add 'em, see what we come with. Maybe we can slumber like babies in arms and retarded ones. Dolphins and whales are the smartest ones. So nothing you can be new up under the sun. Depending what sun you live under, you can be the one on
Sunday morning makes me feel so godly. Pardon me if I shake your soul. Sunday morning makes me feel so godly. Pardon me if I shake your soul. Sunday morning makes me feel so godly. Pardon me if I shake your soul.
All right, welcome back, True Seeker. part 2 of the Haskins thing. A lot of great comments. Helped build a lot to the post, so thank you to the community who responded. And that's why I try to get out stories early, because it seems like the only way at this day and age on Google to reach an audience is to be right on top of a story. Otherwise, you're just buried in the algorithm. I mean, if you guys followed me back in 2017, I used to get well over 100,000 views on a lot of videos. Now it's mission impossible. I haven't hit 100,000 views since Kobe Bryant died. It's over 2 years ago. And that used to be something that wasn't even hard to get. You know, back in the time when it was easy to get 100,000 views, the Kobe Bryant video would have got probably would have been my most viewed video ever. I've surpassed 1 million only 2 times, despite making over 10,000 videos. I've only surpassed 1 million views 2 times. I've sniffed 1 million a lot. Like, well, not a lot, probably like 10 or 15 times, but I've only surpassed 1 million 2 times. And it was on the videos of the death of David Rockefeller at 101, the night after the Big Three combined for a record 101 points. Of course, the Rockefellers built their oil dynasty in Cleveland, and that's back when it was Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love. The Big Three go for 101 points on the eve of the news of the death of David Rockefeller at 101. Anyway, that video got over 1 million views. One that almost got 1 million was on Jay-Z when Lil Wayne signed up with Rockefeller. It's because people are into these types of things. You know, I made 1 million videos. Well, I haven't made 1 million videos. I made thousands of videos that were way better than that video, but it's just, that was a topic thing. And then the other one that got over 1 million views, which today created the week after that video went, that's made up about 20% or more of my total book sales to date. And I've had books for sale for over 3 years. But when George Herbert Walker Bush died, again, I said why he would not live past November in relation to Skull and Bones, and why he would not make it past age 94. And he died the last day of November at 94. A lot of people were following that prediction at the time because I'd say what day to expect John McCain to die, and he passed on that day before it happened. And then I said, watch. Now his other, political wartime prisoner of war story, Buddy Bush, we'll be reading about him soon. And, he could go anywhere between September, but he won't make it past November, and he won't make it past 94. So a lot of people are following that. And on the very last day of the expiration date, of course, he was the breaking news, and I broke down why those things were. It's not an accident that Paul Walker, the movie star who starred in The Skulls, about Skull and Bones, which came out just before George W. Bush became president of the United States, the second Skull and Bones member to be in the White House. Again, his dad was the first. And again, Paul Walker in the movie, The Skulls, about Skull and Bones, gets gifted a red Porsche by the fraternity. Then we read that he dies in a mysterious red car crash that's about as mysterious as Dwayne Haskins' death today. And again, Paul Walker dead in a red Porsche, just like he gets in Skull and Bones. And what day did Paul Walker die? He died November 30th. November 30th. What day did George H.W. Bush die? He died November 30th. And, of course, that's because 11 plus 30 is 41, and Skull and Bones is 41, and George Herbert Walker Bush was number 41. 41's the 13th prime. Paul Walker dead in 13 on 11 plus 30, 41. But again, you guys, all this stuff is related to what I'm about to talk about, because Skull and Bones is who American football is credited to. The Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp, who was in Skull and Bones. And again, just think about how all of these pieces come together. Skull and Bones, if you're not aware of this, look it up. It's a real thing. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are facts that are in books that you can read. That's what's so annoying about people in this day and age. They don't read anything. They watch cable TV and they think they know it all, and they make fun of people like me who've taken the time to study for the last 20 years and have researched and learned things that I had no idea about, that I had to question at first and be skeptical of before I realized, wow, this really does seem to be like what is going on, when I came out of slave school back when I was 17, almost 18, like so many of you, so a lot of people turned 18 in their senior year. I turned 18 about a month and a half after I graduated high school. I was always like the baby of the class. For all the people that are born, around July, you end up being younger in your class. But unless your parents start you a year late, then you might be the oldest. But anyway, man, just understand, all this stuff is related. Skull and Bones. When I came out of slave school, I didn't know about any of this. It all came from reading and research and also paying attention to TV. Go back and watch in 2004 on NBC, the one with the peacock. Don't forget about the Peacocks on Peacock Day this year, starting their Cinderella run on St. Patrick's Day as the Jesuit school St. Peter's. But again, just how all this stuff comes together. I didn't know about all this. It's research. Skull and Bones is modeled after the Knights Templar, the old military order of the Catholic Church. Also headquartered in New Haven, Connecticut, where Yale and Skull and Bones is the headquarters for the Knights of Columbus, another Catholic order, okay? The Jesuits, who are the current military order of the church, have the Templar cross in their logo. Jesuits, military order, Rome, all the authors that have compared our culture to Rome and how it's no different, how it's totally corrupt, the politicians rule over the sleeping masses, and they keep them, in line, paying taxes, essentially getting fucked up the ass in a million ways possible because they give them bread and circus and it makes it good enough. And the reason I know this story's true, because like so Americans, I've been living it. I've been a part of it. Almost everyone in America is under the same spell at some point coming up, and then it breaks for us at certain ages. For me, I want to say it was pretty much all the way broken when I was age 12. But then when 9/11 happened when I was 18, and then the Patriot Act came, and all of a sudden the New England Patriots that always sucked dick were the greatest football team in the history of Earth. And people didn't even get the joke. People didn't even get the joke of what they did with the Patriots in the scripted NFL with Tom Brady with zero agility. You guys play that Madden video game. What do they rate his agility on there? It should be 0. But anyway, people aren't seeing the jokes. And before we get into Dwayne Haskins' sick death today, as he's recently signed with the Jesuit Steelers, again, just understand, American football is credited to a member of one of these very powerful secret societies. And if you want to know how powerful they are, just think about this for a minute. In 1968, George W. Bush, who was the president when 9/11 happened, when the Patriots became the greatest team, he had graduated from Skull and Bones. And remember, at first the election was called for the other guy, Al Gore's vice president, or Bill Clinton's vice president, Bill Clinton, who went to Jesuit Georgetown. Bill Clinton's vice president, Al Gore, at first was announced as the winner of the 2000 election. And it doesn't matter which one of these puppets wins. But then they said, whoa, it's too close to call. And then they ended up saying that Bush had actually won the state because Florida reversed their outcome. At first they said the Democrat won, and then they changed it and said actually it's the Republican. And this looks super suspicious because the new winning president, George W. Bush, becoming number 43, his brother happened to be the 43rd governor of Florida, and his dad was the 43rd vice president. And again, when you write out Yale, Y is the 25th letter in the alphabet, A's the first, L's the 12th, E's the 5th. You add up the letters of Yale, it's 43. So number 43, because the state changed its mind where his brother was the 43rd governor when his daddy was 43rd vice president. They both went to Yale and Skull and Bones. Again, big clue about the language of the numbers. And by the way, Florida equals 43 when you use numerology. And with regards to 9/11, right after George W. Bush became president, right after Paul Walker did the movie The Skulls, after 9/11 is the Patriot Act, and then the Patriots winning the Super Bowl and then dominating the NFL for going on, 20 years before Brady went down to Tampa Bay. The Pirates, it's funny how false flag, the term comes from pirates, which are associated with the Knights Templar, because when they were burned at the stake on Friday the 13th, they became pirates and had to flee Europe. Again, and doesn't you see how this all comes together? But then what age did Brady go down from a Patriot to a pirate? Oh, that's right, he went to Florida at age 43, and GOAT equals 43, and when you spell out greatest of all time, it equals 188, and I showed all you guys a couple weeks before the Super Bowl why there was no doubt Brady was winning at age 43, 188 days after his birthday, in the clear greatest of all time ritual. And, I mean, if you're on our Patreon, we said, we didn't flinch. We said, it's Brady over the Chiefs in this year's Super Bowl. It's the GOAT ritual. It's been a long time coming. It's 9/11. It's him being 43. It's all this shit. Rigged football. And by the way, understand, again, American football is credited to a Yale grad, Walter Camp, who's a member of Skull and Bones. And just notice, Yale with the alphabetic order 43. Do you remember how the story at the time of Brady winning the Super Bowl was the Goatville killing near the Yale campus? It was a young Asian man before the whole Asian crime spree started. And then, we had a new racial feud brewing in the media on top of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and all the other shit they're doing to us to make us hate each other while they get away with murder, while they start the next war, while they take away the next right and liberty. They got you fighting over the latest thing they showed you in the news. And then people are like, oh, I hate conspiracy theorists like this. How dare him? It's just like, oh my God. The spell is working. The mind control is working. But go back and look. The Goatville killings next to Yale. And do you see how Yale and Goat overlap? Watch this. You guys think 4 ciphers are a joke? Take a look at Yale and Goat. They're the exact same in every cipher. This year in the tournament, I think, was it Purdue that played Yale first? Whoever played Yale first, if I'm not mistaken, their team got their 43rd tournament win, and the coach got his 16th tournament win. Yale 43-16. If it's not quite that, it's not far off the mark. It was one of the, that was a big seed difference, but it was just so easy to see that was what was going to happen with that game in the first round. Yale and Goat. And, remember, you guys, a year ago today, here, speaking of Goat and 43, you guys, you got to understand this stuff. A year ago today, we were talking about the death of Darkman X, right? Darkman X, I spelled it wrong. I spelled it Darm. Darkman X has that Gematria 49, right? Last year, we were talking about him being dead on this day and how big of a 49 ritual it was. Again, how it was connected to Snoop Dogg and the Versus show and Swizz Beatz. How all these guys had, the way they spell their names was 49, and it was like 49 days from somebody's birthday. How does Swizz Beatz spell his name again? He spells it like that with Z's. That's the nice thing about Gematria. You're like, yep, that's how he spells it because there's that 49. But last year we were talking about the death of DMX on this day. And remember, the news on April 3rd, 4/3, was that he had become like a vegetable. That's what the headline said about DMX, that he was frozen, he was in a coma, he was like a vegetable. And it was 4/3/21, April 3rd, 21. And he's on the song 4321, which ends with LL Cool J, where he ends the song saying he's the greatest of all time. And then DMX right after the Super Bowl. And again, how many days was it after LL Cool J's birthday? Here, we can go back. I'll go back and prove it to y'all. You see how LL Cool J is 79 in the most simple cipher? So is vegetable. So is murder. And again, Goat's got that 43. LL Cool J's channel on Sirius XM, which is owned by this same cabal that owns everything else, your politicians, your NFL, your TV. LL Cool J's channel on Sirius XM is channel 43, okay? There's a lot more to all this stuff. But here, let's go back and look. LL Cool J birthday. Okay. It's funny that Wikipedia took away the birthdays from the section on the right. His birthday is January 14th. So let's go back and put this in. January 14th, 2021. And then DMX was it the day he became in a coma, or was it the day he died? That's the one thing I forget. Well, let's think. 99th day of the year, that'd be 85. Wait a minute. Have they changed his birthday since last year? Oh, no, that's right. I'm tripping, you guys. I can't do math. Okay, from LL Cool J's birthday to the day we got the news about him being in the coma, 79 days. Okay? 79 days. Just like what I was saying. LL Cool J, 79. Vegetable, the state they said DMX was in, 79. Murder, 79. And that Murder by Numbers movie poster? That Murder by Numbers movie poster. Do you see how it is? Do you see the orange numbers around the word? Do you see how it's 7 and 9? 7 and 9 around the words. And then when you run it in reverse, murder's 38 and 83, like the song Murder by Numbers, where killings as simple as ABC 123 came out in 83. Sandra Bullock was the star of Murder by Numbers, whose name equals 83. Not to mention the song came out on the day in history Ignatius of Loyola became the first superior general of the Jesuits. Again, I keep telling you, it's the Jesuits that are at the spear of all these things, these secret societies that all run through the Catholic Church. And it should be obvious to everyone. Kobe Bryant's name equals 41, dead at 41 while traveling from Catholic Mass on the Pope's 41st day of his age. Where's your argument? When you run it in verse, Kobe Bryant, 157, dead on his 157th day of his age. If you think that's a coincidence, do me a favor. I made my book free for you to download for every skeptic who hates me and the research. I made the book free to download. See how well-reviewed it is. If you read it, you'll find out why it's well-reviewed. And read the chapter on Kobe's death. I mean, it just couldn't be any more obvious who's behind all this shit, making these movies, putting it out on the dates they do. Notice the movie came out 38 weeks and a day after Sandra Bullock's birthday. All these numbers connected to murder, right? Over and over. Today, we got a gentleman dead in Florida. That's where Tampa Bay is, right? Tampa Bay is also 79. See how the DMX thing fits in? DMX is a vegetable after the Super Bowl and the Goatville ritual, you know? And here's the thing about 79 as well. Society of Jesus, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology, 79. You know? If you write out Knights Templar, their cross is in the Jesuit logo, it's 79. You know? Christianity, interestingly enough, is 79. Yeshua is 79. And I know a lot of you believe that Yeshua is the true spiritual energy that you must believe in for salvation. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I just think that that's religious, and I think it's the religious elements of spirituality that ultimately don't help people and scare people from spirituality. Because people are so certain about things that seem hard to be certain about, but they believe it so much, and you'll meet these people of all faiths, that the skeptic looks and says, man, I talked to the person that's this belief, this belief, this belief. They're all certain theirs is absolutely correct. And in reality, I mean, the thing that I think we should all realize is correct is there's something very divine about this world. There's also very many evil influences, but there's something that's still divine that makes life enjoyable and possible and, you know, that sometimes sends you the sign that you need to see. And again, that stuff can just be learned through age and experience and observation. And to me, critical thinking as well. I mean, is just saying that I read the Big Bang's it and that's all there is to it, we're a spark from nothing, that's just the way it happened. Is that, I mean, like, what ultimately does that do for you if you take that on as your belief? And again, for all the people who say, well, where did God come from if we have a creator? I don't even know if we should use the word God, honestly. Creator might be the better word. God's a word they made up. Again, if you haven't read my first book, Letters and Numbers, it explains why there's 26 letters in the alphabet. Here, you guys. God in the most simple cipher is 26. If you add up the four-letter name of God from the beginning of the Torah, the beginning of the Bible, the four-letter name of God in Hebrew, where the code originally comes from, equals 26. Just using that Hebrew alphabetic order, the four-letter name of God is 26. And it's interesting that in Hebrew it was a four-letter name of God, where 4 represents foundation, another biblical number. But for English, they gave us the same numerical value of the word, but changed it to 3 letters. But God is 26 in letter. When you use the alphabetic order in rules of numerology, is 26. And again, the Kabbalistic belief, which goes with the Torah, says, again, look up the Book of Formation. It's the opening page. If you hate to read, the good news is you only have to buy the book and read the first page, and then you can just put it down. You've proven the point to yourself. The book begins by saying God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. That's on the first page of the book. And again, letter in what's the most pure cipher. Understand, when I first started this research, I didn't even think to run the alphabetic order in reverse. But God, 26, letter 26, okay? 26-letter alphabet. Think about it. Kobe Bryant, right? Bryant is 26. Think about the word game, 26, right? Jordan, 26. You know when Kobe passed Jordan in points scored, what day it was? It was December 14th. 12 plus 14, 26. And think about a big tragedy in this world on December 14th with 26. Can you remember it? Sandy Hook. They said 20 first graders and 6 adults. 26 people on 12/14. Same day the vaccine went live for COVID, you know. And remember, it was coronavirus, and then the name COVID-19 emerged like right around the same time Kobe died, when Kobe was buried in Corona del Mar. And again, there's a lot more to all this. They blame it on China, where the Jesuits have been longer than the U.S. has. But again, you guys, China, the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, super powerful relationship. Same with America. And again, it's just so much to explain, but understand the Jesuits, they're controlling your world affairs, your government, your politics, your sports. That's how they're syncing it all up seamlessly. And these people control the chessboard that is the world stage that we, the spectators, watch. We who grew up in the American dream, you know, perhaps Dwayne Haskins was actually like us. Possibly. Great talent, but chosen also because he had the right numbers. And if you guys don't think that they're choosing people to put on the field because of their birthdays and their names, you can be proven wrong 1,000,000 times over based on the body of work that I've already put out that you could research and find out how ignorant your opinion is, even though I might sound ridiculous. This is what they're doing. It's why the rituals line up perfectly day after day after day. And if I forgot to say so in the beginning, the reason I played that song, you guys, because it's called Soul Sunday, right? Soul Sunday. Pardon me if I shake your soul. And if you guys recall, at the beginning of the pandemic, we actually had CeeLo Green of Goody Mob. That song is Goody Mob and Outkast, both of the Atlanta, Georgia area, where the CDC is. But remember, we had CeeLo share the video that Jonathan and myself did, and it was Jonathan's find, if I remember correctly. It could have been somebody else in the community. I know somebody shared that at first with me. I think it was Jonathan. It might have been somebody else. People sometimes they'll leave a really angry comment if I credit something to the wrong person. I don't do it on purpose, you guys. I mean, it was 2 years ago. But somebody in the community noticed that at the 56-second mark of the Cell Therapy video, Goody Mob, like their big breakthrough song in the 90s, at the 56-second mark, the chorus for that song is, Who's that peeking in my window? Pow, nobody now. So in the music video, there's different scenes where people come up to the window, right? But at the 56-second mark, when the group comes up to the window in this scene, they all have on their coronavirus masks. And this is the 90s, so we weren't thinking like that, right? But everyone in the window looks like now with the COVID masks on. The exact same thing. And it's like, wow, at the 56-second mark? If you guys don't know, that's mostly what this book's about. It's mostly what I talk about every day if you hardly watch any of my videos. Coronavirus in 56 is just ridiculous. I can hardly talk about it on the sports channel. The reason I separated sports and news was to try to not get a channel deleted. Since sports has been established, even though it's now a dead channel pretty much, it stayed up. But Google's buried it in the algorithm, so it's pretty much impossible to find unless you already know about the work or somebody shares a link with you. But realize that the only real new people coming into this community are people who are sharing the link. And thank you for that. But again, because it's buried in the algorithm, and that's why you can't get any views anymore. But anyway, let's just go back over everything. I know I'm tangential, but I'm just trying to make you understand. This is way bigger than Dwayne Haskins' death today. This is 9 years of explaining how a Jesuit Masonic system. And remember, the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry shares the motto with the Jesuits in Marum Dei Gloriam. Modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. Again, all this stuff goes back to the church. The calendar, the language, the Kabbalistic belief, the Crusades. Again, this being so connected to the Steelers, another huge ritual at the Steelers. The one family that's publicly owned by this Catholic Jesuit family, the Rooneys. But okay, let's take this from the top. Wait, hold on. Let's go back to where we need to go. I know there's some points I didn't finish up. Okay, right here. So, good comments. People reminded me that the draft's just around the corner, and draft equals 49. And honestly, I couldn't even tell you who's in the draft class. I haven't paid attention to really any of these stories. I've been trying to finish my latest book, and when I do research it more, I'll have to look into if there's anybody from Ohio State, his former school. He's dead in Miami, like Sean Taylor, who also died at 24. And I'll have to look at where the Dolphins are drafting. But understand, this stuff is like big web ritual. And it's like there can only be so many people on the chessboard. These people got the chessboard set, like I was saying. There can only be so many people on it. So to make that room for, even if it's like imagine you're like some super chess guru. You can only have so many pieces on the board, right? But maybe like you play in some new level of chess where you also have all your designer chess pieces. Sometimes you get sick of looking at a certain rook out there and you're like, you can't take my rook. I want to put in my diamond-encrusted rook, actually, to look at now as we play the rest of this match. But again, these are like their people. And they can, even in their diamond-encrusted, there's a rule over here, they can only have like 50 backup pieces for whatever suits their fantasy. But to me, this is like their world of celebrities and athletes and entertainers. And this is why we see them so often dying at such young ages from the same stuff over and over and over. Car accidents at just way too high of a rate. And you think that these are the people dying in car accidents? I mean, when you see these celebrities in public, like I grew up in Portland, so where you would see Portland Trail Blazers is at the mall. They like to shop at the Nordstroms there. They'd be at the Foot Locker. This is where you'd see them. And both those stores are right next to each other at the end of the mall. and you'd see the Blazers there, and sometimes you'd say hi to them, and some were friendly and some weren't. And but usually they had kind of a little bit of an entourage with them, even maybe like a somewhat of a security presence. Now, I saw Jermaine O'Neal, who ended up getting traded to the Pacers. God, talk about the worst trade ever. You got young Jermaine O'Neal, who comes in the Blazers for 4 minutes a night and grabs 5 boards, blocks 3 shots, gets 2 dunks, and misses all 6 of his free throws. And then we're trading him for an old Dale Davis, and you're like, these guys are getting paid millions to make these decisions? You just traded away a young superstar who you won't even give playing time to a good vet that's got like 2-3 years left in the league? Oh, you just traded the future for... the next 2 rivalries for the Lakers to purposely fold in. But again, that's who I was as a kid growing up. But the one thing I gotta say to Jermaine O'Neal is I saw him at the mall, at Foot Locker. Maybe his woman was somewhere else in the mall, but he was pushing a stroller and he was by himself. And I just thought, this guy he's not afraid of the general public or anything. Look at him. He's out here with this kid. He's looking at some sneakers. But anyway, maybe some of these guys, they get chosen because they do have the talent and the right birthday. And again, they don't last as long on the stage either. They end up being the Dwayne Haskins story. Ben Roethlisberger's alive and well. Joe Burrow's alive and well. And again, just right before the draft ends this year on the 120th day of the year. Remember, the death came 120 days after Burrow's birthday, or his 121st day of his age. And again, just other people's observations. Dre Soglo says Haskins' birthday is 153 days before C.J. Stroud. That's the current Ohio State quarterback. And what are the odds of that? Again, what are the odds of that? It's just like how he's dead a span of 153 days from the start of the season. And again, his name, Gematria, has the 153 and 72. He's playing for the Steelers at the time of death. He's dead 72 days after the retirement of Ben Roethlisberger, which was a huge ritual. And then the bridges fell in Pittsburgh. Again, you guys, that's how you can see you're being made fun of. Here, with just the most simple cipher. Bridge claps. Don't forget what they did the day after Roethlisberger from the Steel City retired. Joe Biden, who's born in Pennsylvania, in Scranton, Jesuit town, he's going to Pittsburgh to talk infrastructure. And don't forget, you guys, after Curry had that 3-point record, I said don't be surprised if there's some collapsing bridges to promote Joe Biden's infrastructure bill. And again, from the day I said that to the claps was 45 days later. And Bridges 45. And again, this stuff's not an accident, you guys. It's all perfectly calculated. Steph Curry on the Warriors, originally from Pennsylvania, the Steel State. But look, Bridge collapsed 128. And do you remember what Bridge collapsed? On January 28th, 128, the day Biden was in town. January 28th, 128, Bridge collapsed 128. It was the Fern Hollow Bridge. 128. And there's a lot more to the story, but I actually got my video struck where I talked about the other part because this just happened to be 128 weeks after a shooting that you're not allowed to talk about that was in the same neighborhood. Just happened to be 128 weeks later. Just happened to be, and I can't even say too much because I already got a strike. And funny enough, they took down the video for medical misinformation just as an extra fuck you. But notice, January 28th, Biden took office January 20th. 120, Illuminati. You can run it the other way, 20/1, like 201, like Order of Illuminati, which is the proper title for it. But anyway, from the day Biden took office to the day the bridge collapse is 12 months and 8 days, is it not? January 20th, 2021 to January 28th, 2022 is 12 months, 8 days. 128. And keep in mind that most simple cipher, retirement's 127. And not only did Ben retire that day by the numbers, so did Stephen Breyer from the Supreme Court. And now we get, a judge on 4-7 where Judge is 47 and Gavel's 47. And Trump got his first Supreme Court justice on April 7th, which is the 97th day of the year, Supreme. April 7th, 4-7 judge, 97th day of the year, Supreme. Trump got Neil McGill Gorsuch April 7th, 2017. Biden, who was the 47th vice president, to Obama when he took office at age 47. Trump also equals 47 when you're on the alphabetical order in reverse. But Biden gets his first Supreme Court justice on the same day, And again, just those base ciphers. Look at Gavel and Judge. They're the exact same in all 4 ciphers. Gavel and Judge, all 4. And notice the 4725, Katanji got the 47 and 25 in her name, right? Alphabetic order, forwards and backwards. But okay, his birthday is also synced up with the current Ohio State quarterback, and that's what I'm saying, you guys. It's like a chessboard, and you got to have the right birthday, the right name to even be a piece. And again, for those of you guys who are bad at math and think like this stuff's improbable, you're wrong. It's because you're thinking in such a small point of view. You're thinking from your perspective. How could a man do this? This is a network of people, and you have to think in probability. How many people are born every day onto this earth? How many new babies are there every day? You know, there are a lot. We should look up maybe let's just never use Google as your source, but let's just see what Google's answering for how many average births per day on Earth. How many births per day on average on Earth? Let's see. Around 385,000 babies. So that's Google's answer. And my guess was, hundreds. I was going to say hundreds of thousands, but I wasn't sure, so I was like, let's look it up. So anyway, 385,000. A lot of us probably assumed around the same thing unless we're completely dense. I mean, the world's a big place. So you have that many opportunities for almost every day of the year. So you got to think in terms of perspective. I mean, okay, when you went to high school, maybe you were in a high school where there was about 2,000 people. There were probably 10 or less people at that campus that were pretty good size, like between 6'2" and maybe the biggest guy in the basketball team, 6'8", 6'9", maybe some school even bigger. But not a lot of people at the school that were that big. But these were your top athletes at your school, strong, big, a relatively small percentage of the school. And now you got all these high schools all over the world, right? So now you can pick the cream of the crop from all that. And again, you have this opportunity that's being created day after day. So again, for all of you who are like, this is impossible. You're wrong. If you have already built the script based on astrology and numerology, and you have a language to work with that's synced up with the calendar and astrology, which is the point I'm making every day. That's what my first book's about, how the Catholic Church synced up the language with the calendar, with the zodiac, and that's why all these rituals work out perfect. With tarot cards, which also goes back to Italy in the same time period the Jesuits were created. The oldest known tarot card deck, that is, goes back to that same time period in Italy. But anyway, all roads lead to Rome, the circus. I realize I haven't finished a lot of thoughts I meant to finish in the time I've been talking, but again, my dad, he's just such a good example. He's worked so hard his whole life. He's had a shitty life from a young age. He had a crazy mom. He never got to know who his dad is. He pretty much had to raise his brothers because he was the oldest of a group of brothers. He was the oldest, so he had to help raise them, kind of be the father of the house from a young age, stressful. And then, he's just always worked hard and never really had anything to show for it and been taken advantage of by his bosses. Again, for all the people out there, let your boss take advantage of you. You shouldn't do that. You might look back and say, man, had I done something about that 20 years ago, I might be able to retire, But, yeah, my dad, I mean, if you interviewed him, he'd say, yeah, the thing that always got me through was the ball game, Just to sit down and watch a ball game just kind of made everything go away. Just give him his time in the ball game, And he was a good athlete growing up, too. He liked to play the game, and then as a working slave, he liked to watch the game. And how many people have the same story in America, living the American dream? But okay, this person says, keep an eye on Malik Willis in the draft because his name has the numbers of Pittsburgh and 4-9, like his death on 4-9. So I couldn't even tell you who Malik Willis is right now, but, maybe look at his... Here, so often when I read comments, this is what I'll do to see if there's something there. So I'll look, and if I see the same numbers, like in the birthday distance to the death, he's from Atlanta. And speaking of Atlanta, again, shout out to CeeLo Green because he shared the damn work that Jonathan and I did on his own Instagram page. And, that's what we need from the world of celebrity. We need them to help share the work and wake people up. CeeLo Green, even though he was part of that music video, he was happy to put on his own Instagram page that people had caught that at 56 seconds into his video, again, they're wearing the coronavirus masks, and, he wouldn't have put the video up there if he didn't support the message, is the way I look at it. And Jonathan and I were saying, listen, man, this is how long ago they planned out our demise. Hold on. I know. I know. I can't. I got ADHD today, but look at this. Look at this. Goody Mob is CeeLo Green's group. You probably know CeeLo Green from Gnarls Barkley with the song Crazy. You know. And there's another song that truth seekers can relate with. Crazy. But Cell Therapy. This song, there's things said in this song that are so resonant with the world we're living in right now. And again, I'm trying to merge all this stuff together so you can just see how the symbolism is, why the rituals happen when they do. You know, this is occult stuff. It's hidden in plain sight. And just at the end of that song that I started the video with, he's talking about nothing is new under the sun. That's a common phrase within the secret society types and the Masons. But so many of these people in the entertainment world, because they're essentially, it seems like, signed on the dotted line with these occultists who control the studio, somehow, some way, they're all picking up on the influence and learning things that they probably wouldn't have learned unless they were working within those communities and around those types of people where, you know, as we know, it seems like hints are left abound, maybe for those who are looking, those who are inquiring. But this song that they wrote all these years ago, I want to go to what CeeLo says. There's a lot of things that are relevant in this song. But what CeeLo says, where's his verse at? That's not him, is it? Okay, this is what he says. So CeeLo in this song Goody Mob, where at the 56th second they're looking through the window and they got, you know, their coronavirus masks on. His verse, he says, "Me and my family moved in our apartment complex. A gate with a serial code was put up next." Think about this and what terms are going on in the world right now. I was telling you guys it was a big fucking deal. I was up in the middle of the night, November 9th, the early hours of November 9th, 2016. I was saying, this is not good, you guys. It's not good that they're declaring Donald Trump, the apprentice who wants to build a wall, as the president on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which signified a bad moment in history, but the end of a bad moment. But still, Mr. Wall on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, again, he wants to build a wall when that story was about how building walls just ultimately causes more problems, more hatred, more poverty, more everything wrong. And we're not seeing it in the U.S. the way we're being made fun of. And I still remember the night before he became president, he had about 10 minutes on TV, and he spent 5 of them talking about the Patriots, January 19th, 2017. And what year was that? I forget what Super Bowl even was now. Was it Super Bowl 51, just before the 25-point comeback? It probably, you know what? All right, hold on. 2017. It was Super Bowl 51. You know what? I've always connected the 25-point comeback to the date in the Falcons, but fucking A, man. Trump is 25 in that same cipher. And I was just harping on about all this shit at that time. I was like, can't you see what a joke this is? Berlin Wall, the night before becoming president, all he could talk about is how much he likes to watch the Patriots. This is the leader of the nation at this moment in history with all this fucked up shit going on. This guy wants to come on here and talk to the country about how important it is to eat McDonald's and watch the Patriots. And you don't think you live in the fucking idiocracy? But now I fucking really see it. No wonder he talks so much about the Patriots for the 25-point comeback on 2/5. Don't forget, Bill Belichick's name is 97 in the most simple cipher. 97, the 25th prime. That was the 97th season. Year of the 25-yard touchback. Again, all the rituals by the numbers. For the people on Patreon, I'll be about 10 minutes late. Sorry, I'm talking too much, but I will do the Patreon weekly stream here. I'm supposed to start at 1, which is 10 minutes away, but I'm just so mad about the Sean Taylor thing, honestly. This is the stuff, like, you can win and take advantage of the knowledge and get a nice payout, and that's exciting, but for me, it's like, after that, the feeling goes away, and then I wake up in the world again, and I'm just like, the world's still fucked. I still got to fight all day for freedom, and ultimately, winning bets is nice, but fuck, man, we're still in Evilville ruled over by sick, demented people that got everyone under a spell, and it's just like, when this stuff happens, and just another young player dead by the same number code that we just talked about with DMX last year, and probably every year I've been here, I've probably been talking about April 9th, but again, remember what happened with Will Smith of the Saints on April 9th? In 2016, getting killed in his car, at the same time, Will Smith was winning Best Actor. Around the same time, Chris Rock was making fun of him and Jada Pinkett Smith over the Oscars Too White protest. And then 6 years later, Will Smith was dead on April 9th, which can be written 4-9 or 9-4. And then at the 94th Oscars, winning Best Actor for playing King Richard, who raised his daughter, Venus and Serena, to play tennis. And it's mostly about Venus, who turns pro in 94. And then at the 94th Oscars, he's Best Actor. The fifth black actor in history to win Best Actor. The first, Sidney Poitier, died at the beginning of the year at age 94. He won it for Lilies of the Field, where he saves a group of Catholic nuns in a movie that runs 94 minutes long. And his most liked movie, In the Heat of the Night, he slaps the shit out of a dude in a greenhouse. And people didn't catch it, but Dave Grohl's drummer dying, Foo Fighters were established in 94, and Kurt Cobain died in a greenhouse. And Kurt Cobain had the same birthday as Sidney Poitier, February 20th, which is the day Juwan Howard slapped the shit out of the Wisconsin coach. Juwan Howard, who kind of looks like Will Smith. And, by the way, Juwan Howard had 56 wins. Badgers is 56, Wolverines 56, Society of Jesus. He was 56-28 after the slapping incident. That was his 84th game, Jesuit 84. You know what they did to John Thompson, who won the NBA, or the college championship, first black coach in 84, killed him in the Jesuit ritual on a Sunday. At age 78, we're Jesuits 78 in reverse. But anyway. And by the way, John Thompson, he died on a date with 78 numerology. I got to go back and check and see where he died. I hope he didn't die in Italy like Tony Soprano, who died in a Jesuit ritual. But, yeah, Juwan Howard, again, drafted into the NBA in 94, and he was the 5th overall pick. Get it? And then 5 weeks to the day after his slap, Will Smith supposedly slapping Chris Rock, and something that you can see is clearly fake. And somehow the people under a spell, that's all they can talk about, and then they can't even see that he didn't even make contact. They can't even see that it's two actors at an actor award ceremony acting out a scene that ultimately amounts to more ritual black shaming. When the black guy wins Best Actor now at this day and age, in the age of Black Lives Matter, where they're trying to make everyone divisive and take a side, they got to show the black guy smacking another black guy to fit in with their black-on-black crime headlines that they love to run in bullet points, as they have for decades. Black-on-black crime, tonight at 9. It's like, God. It's just sad that it's marketing, and people watch TV shows like Cops that popularized, living in a fascist state, watching black guys get arrested for smoking weed in the hotel, episode after episode. Oh, look how he tackled this black guy who just wanted to smoke a joint. What do you mean the TV's trying to fuck with us? But yeah, again, Trey Hops, great reminder with, Will Smith, the football player's death. Again, go back and look at all my work on that. Will Smith wins the award the night Will Smith dies on a stage that's gold and black like the Saints colors. Saints, Catholic, sainthood, death. And the last movie Will Smith did before that was called Focus, set in New Orleans, focused on football, scamming, magic, and gambling, That's what that whole thing's about. And it teaches about numerology, like all the shit these people are doing, all right in that movie. Anyway, that was MTV. And then, of course, Shawn Wayans at the 2000 VMAs. He impersonated Chris Rock and got beat up by Puff Daddy at the end of the skit. And Puff Daddy was the mediator at the 94th Oscars. R.I.P. to everybody on Bad Boy Records. All died in a bunch of Jesuit rituals. But, yeah, DeLord's Will point about Sean Taylor, exactly right. He says, Sean Taylor is linked to this too, I believe, because his death was 15 years ago. Remember, they just did the jersey retirement for him this year. What data did they do that? I want to look at that. Okay, Sean Taylor, 15 years ago, and both of these guys were the 15th pick of the draft. And you remember what I was just saying the other night? How I connect 15 to 38 a lot in my research, and it also fits in with 34. And murder has that gematria 34 and 38. Death is 38, killing's 38, RIP's 38. So is the state of Florida where he is. But remember what we were just saying about, the college championship in 15. Kansas was down 15 at the half. If you spell out 15 as gematria 65, just like Kansas. And it was 65 days after the state's birthday on January 29th. And it was the the rematch of 65 years ago, UNC Kansas for the championship. UNC equals 38 in the most simple cipher. UNC 38, right? And UNC in reverse is 124. It was their 124th season. Bill Self, the coach, who lost his dad on January 21st. Blood sacrifice. I just told you about this the other day. Blood sacrifice 121. Bill Self's dad dead on 121. Now on the 121st day of Joe Burrow's age, who just won the Super, or not won, but who participated in the Super Bowl, who went to school and played on Saturdays. He's dead on a Saturday at Ohio State. With Haskins. He's dead on Joe Burrow's 121st day of his age, And as we saw, dead on the 67th day of the new name of the Redskins. Blood sacrifice, 6786. 257 is the 55th prime number. He's dead 55 days after the Super Bowl, or a span of 56 days from Super Bowl 56. So I got to look at both those numbers. They're both related. But all of these numbers fit into the blood sacrifice ritual. Joe Burrow's 121st day of his age, 67th day of the new Washington team's name, the only team that he has NFL stats for. He's been a member of the Steelers as a backup, but the last time he played in a game was with the Redskins, who are now the Commanders, and he's dead on the 67th day of the name being the Commanders. Again, 257, the 55th prime, he's dead 55 days after the Super Bowl, or a span of 56 days, and he's dead in a crash, which is 86. And realize that's the big story with the 86th Masters, Tiger Woods is back after the supposed crash. Remember, Tiger Woods is 54 forwards and backwards. The supposed crash that you've seen absolutely zero evidence of. You've heard a lot of stories. You've heard a lot of reporting. You've seen a lot of news stories. But the Tiger Woods car crash happened on the 54th day of the year. And again, Jesuit orders 54, and the Jesuits' colors are red and black. And what's Tiger always wear on Sunday, the most Jesuit day of the week? He wears red and black. And notice how his name compares with Dwayne Haskins as well. We just talked about how similar these guys, or the Gematrias. They both have the 54, 72, 153 in it, right? What's fucked up is Will Smith did the movie Beggar Vance, and if you go watch that movie from like 20 years ago, he tells a story in there about what kept him going in life, or one of the things that kept him going in life is the story of his uncle who lost his legs. Remember when they were saying that Tiger Woods nearly needed his legs amputated? Just all this stuff that's in the headlines right now. Tiger Woods return, Will Smith. You got to look at the world as a stage. What stories are they giving you in the same broadcast at the same time? Nightly news. Will Smith today banned for 10 years from the Oscars. Tiger Woods returning to the Masters. It's a stage, you guys. These guys are playing chess to fuck with us. And sometimes they're swapping out pieces. But they're doing the same shit. And for the person who needs to see that they're both the 15th pick, go to Football Reference. It's the best football information website. Sean Taylor. It'll tell you exactly what draft pick he was. Probably even tell you what day he was drafted. Sean Taylor, dead at age 24, 240 days after his birthday. You know what's funny about that? So if when you read these things, understand that means he died 240 days after his birthday, which also means it was his 241st day of his age, which is the 53rd prime number. And what day is the birthday of Dwayne Haskins? May 3rd, 5-3. How many times have I given this lesson? Vesica Pisces in the most pure cipher. And all these ciphers matter. You see how they all get used ritualistically. But Vesica Pisces is 53 in the most pure cipher. That's the shape of the football in sacred geometry. It's called the Vesica Pisces, which is considered something that represents God and the eye of God. They got the whole world watching the football game. They got the whole world today buzzing about the football player Dwayne Haskins hit by a car. Well, meanwhile, they're not paying attention at all to the World Government Summit, where they're talking about how hard you're about to get fucked with the new electronic currency they're planning to implement. And they're even talking about it openly. They're not talking about it in conspiratorial terms. They're like, when governments do this, and it's very close, America's on the verge, many nations have already done it, it's going to open up a lot of potential abuses of government and their citizens. I mean, they're just putting this out there. And they're saying, so it's going to take effort to make sure, that people are protected. I swear to God, you guys, they do this as a way of saying, well, you know what? We put it out there. We even aired it on the news. We gave them a chance to think about it. and they didn't do anything about it, so I guess we have the right to abuse them more because they consented to the abuse by doing nothing about it. I really think that's how the people who do this every day, this is how they justify their means. Why would I stop sacrificing 24-year-old black men, you know? Why would I stop doing that? I'm a billionaire controlling the world, you know? I got 10 Playboy bunnies lined up for me on the yacht, and I got to take 10 Viagra pills, but, you know, I haven't had enough of my fill yet. Fuck the rest of the world. That's the problem with this world, you guys. Ruled over by rich, cruel people who still haven't been greedy enough, you know? They've been able to afford 10 Playboy bunnies on the yacht and live this lifestyle for their whole life, but they got to continue it to age 80 while the rest of the world rots. And, well, what's another young black athlete, man? We got 1,000 more of them in the queue. But anyway, here, let's come back. Sean Taylor. Interesting. Oh. Well, hold on. He said they were both 15th picks, so maybe that's not true. He was taken round 1, 5th overall. So actually the way that reads on the board, though, is 1-5. And remember, it's just like this right here. Kobe Bryant was drafted in round 1, 13th overall. 1-13, right? Let me spell his name right. Still be the same word numbers. But Kobe Bryant, 1-13, drafted round 1, 13th overall, comes in and literally recreates Michael Jordan's career 1-13, right? Literally recreates Michael Jordan's career. And then how does he die, you know? After retirement against the Utah Jazz with his Dear Basketball poem, as the NBA locks down on 113 like Utah Jazz, like the name of the league, like Kobe Bryant, like Michael Jordan, they locked down on 11/3 the day the coronavirus pandemic declared out of Switzerland, and you can't see this is the New World Order. And who did they blame it on? The Frenchman, Rudy Gobert, where the Jesuits are from, France, who was on the Utah Jazz, you know? There's only 2 teams in the league that have the 113 connection. There's 30 teams. 113 is the 30th prime. If you write out the National Basketball Association. Again, it's also 113. But that's the 30th prime. There's 30 teams. There's 2 teams in the whole league that have a connection to 113. The Utah Jazz and just the word Dallas alone, if you run the alphabetic order in reverse. Go back and see what they scored the day the pandemic was declared. Dallas scored 113 points. This year, Popovich sets an NBA record against the Utah Jazz, winningest coach ever. Has to do against the Utah Jazz in the 113 NBA ritual. And that same day, Dallas plays their game and scores 113 points. It's like deja vu from 2 years ago. But again, you guys, the numbers, the patterns, the rituals, understanding the ciphers forwards and backwards, you just see it all. Again, DMX dead a year ago today. Darkman X49. We talked about it. What are the odds of dying? You know, I mean, it's just what are the odds of anything that I showed in this video? And then to combine it all together, slim odds to none for that. Slim odds to none for that. Slim odds to none for that. Seriously, football is 83 forwards and football is 83 forwards, 133 in reverse, and he literally dies 83 days after the Steelers' last game and 133 days after Ohio State's last game. I mean, come on. How can it all be a coincidence? Football, 83 forwards, 133 in reverse. I was just talking about this with Colorado. Colorado on the 83rd day of the year. Colorado 83, 133. Colorado on the 83rd day of the year, which is Peyton Manning's birthday. Tom Brady's born on 8-3. Peyton Manning's born on the 83rd day of the year. These guys are the faces of football for nearly 20 years. But the Broncos Stadium catches on fire on the 83rd day of the year. Like, how do you say? I mean, you guys, these people will burn their own stadium because you know what? It's another financial gimmick. It's called I'll just say it tonight. It's just called insurance fraud, okay? It's called insurance fraud is what it's called. Set a fire, get a big fat paycheck, worth more than the damage, probably funnel in some Mexicans, have them repair the whole thing, promise them the world, and then shoot them and leave them all in a ditch. Got the best job done ever actually for free, and you got the insurance check. Fire wasn't really a big deal. Again, you guys think things like that aren't going on, but that's because you haven't been paying attention. Even Democracy Now!, which is full of all sorts of propaganda, sometimes they do a really good story that everybody needs to know about. And again, after Katrina, they showed all the Mexicans they funneled in to clean up the damage, and then how a lot of these people just like seemed to vanish and never came back for their paychecks. Can you imagine that? I mean, it doesn't mean they were all put in a ditch. It could have mean they were all just used for work and then sent back across the border and said, fuck you, we don't owe you anything. You're not a citizen here. Thanks for doing the work. Sorry to all the Americans that applied to help and could have used the work and the job, and the people from New Orleans who could have helped start rebuilding their future right there. Sorry, the billionaires had plans to, fuck you again. Just keep watching the football game, though. R.I.P. to Dwayne Haskins. Don't worry, we'll do a jersey ceremony for him this year. Talk about what a swell guy he was. Make sure you guys come back that day. The popcorn, it's double the price because we know you'll all be here. So, and again, it's just the people under a spell. Conspiracies. I thought everyone was so nice and honest and just looking out for my best interests my whole life. That's why they made me go to school and learn jack shit for 13 years. Christopher Columbus discovered this land, though. And again, they want to make things about race, but again, where it's fair to look at race is bad shit happens in the world of entertainment to people of all races. So this doesn't it's not only black young men getting targeted, but my God, you guys, in all the videos I'm covering, what percentage of the young people dying are young black men? I mean, it is a huge percentage. It's way disproportionate. And I mean, just look at that photo right there. This thing is clearly synced up with Joe Burrow. This doesn't mean it's Joe Burrow's fault. Joe Burrow was chosen. He fits the chessboard just right, but now they got the rituals for him. Again, where these people are at fault is if they do have an inkling of what's going on and they're not saying anything to protect their own neck, that's where you're wrong. I feel like if we ever do start a new religion, if that's what the world needs, one of the main teachings should be it's always better to be righteous and do what's right than fear death. People start fearing death, that's when they start doing evil shit to stay alive. And that's where it all goes to shit. I'm pretty sure that's the bottom line with everything. That's why you see so many celebrities and entertainers sell out over time. And then for all the people out there who are saying, well, this guy's probably not even dead. He's being shipped off to, make the next star group of football players in Africa, and that's his new assignment, and nobody will even know he'll be living the life over there. I know you guys leave these kind of theories and shit. It's possible. It's possible. But regardless, it's evil and fucked up, and it's built in deceit, and that's what this whole system is. Deceit. See through the deceit. Who wages the deceit? I get so tired of people getting caught up in arguments that are kind of beside the point. It is important to know the full truth. If the truth is he's not really dead today and he's going to do some other assignment in some part of the world where no one's even going to recognize him, it's possible. But still, the point is, understand who's manipulating us. And for the person who just says that none of these people are dying, if you don't know that to be true, you shouldn't write that. Because if people are dying, even if it was just 1 out of 100, that would still need to be stopped. And it doesn't take long for these people to rack up 100 more celebrities if you're paying attention worldwide. There's a lot of guys playing chess. They might each have 50 chess pieces that they own, but between all the billionaires that own 50 chess pieces, that's a lot worldwide to do a ritual with, seemingly. I mean, how many of these do we talk about? Or just like so blatant. I mean, it's like 3 or 4. There's a lot more than 3 or 4 suspicious deaths, but there's like 3 or 4 every month that are like this, really. And it's just like, come on, man. And I don't even cover them all anymore because I used to cover 7 a day. Now all I got were people saying, you're a fraud. I heard you're a Jewish shill. It's like, fucking A, man. Okay, Illuminati, maybe you're right. Let's get to it. Georgia Guidestones, what are we waiting for? No morons, I've never been Jewish, I'm not circumcised, raised Lutheran, stopped believing in religion, always been about spirituality and justice and fighting evil. And again, if you couldn't see that in my work, it's because you're fucking blind. You might think you're better because you have some different religion. Guess what? Your religion's fucking up your head, keeping you from seeing the obvious. But yeah, you guys, it literally is just the same shit every year. And I just told you about Bill Self in 121. And did I even finish with the 15 example? Again, 15-point comeback with Kansas. Bill Self, after his dad dies on 121, the blood sacrifice number, like Dwayne Haskins did on Joe Burrow's 121st day of his age. 15-65 like Kansas. They win the championship 65 days after the state's birthday. Kansas is the 34th state. They got their 34th win of the year. They did it in their 124 season, keeping Bill Self on 124 losses, and they did it over UNC 38. But look at this. Again, North Carolina Tar Heels. 124. It's also 101 in reverse. That's how many tournament wins Coach K stayed on, losing to UNC again. Coach K stayed on 101 tournament wins. They had on Brandon Haywood on CNN, owned by Turner, just like TBS, where the game was showing, on March 31st, 331, 124 days after his birthday. And I gave people on my Patreon that as a heads up. It could be a sign of North Carolina, Kansas with the 124 thing. We did great in the tournament, but I had trouble with my future zeroing in on it. I did tell people put on a chip on Kansas on the opening round, only team to score 83 points in the 83rd tournament. But anyway, you understand the numbers, you can see the rigging. You might not get all of them, but you'll get a lot of them. And the better you get at it, the more you'll get of them. I mean, it's just like anything. If you take a skill and a knowledge and you apply it and learn it more and more, you get better with it. And that, a lot of people don't know that in this world because they've never really learned anything. They went through slave school. They hated learning. It was boring. They just did what they had to jump through hoops. And then they got out of school and worked a slave job and watched slave TV all day. And that's the extent of, them. But, again, I mean, So, anyway. I think I definitely didn't say it in the order I should have said it all, but I said everything that I think needs to be seen. And again, just add 4-9. This image is all over today with his death, with the 49 patch on his Washington jersey. Again, Washington 49, 4-9. New football team, supposed to be about ending. You know what? Hold on. Before we go, again, it's young and old. For all the people who make fun of when I cover the deaths of older people, again, take a look at this. He's not the first person to die for the Washington Commanders. No. Look at Charlie Taylor, you guys. Look at what they did with old Charlie Taylor, former Washington Redskin. He wore 42 for the Redskins. Don't forget, they're the first NFL team to ever win the Super Bowl with a black quarterback, and they won it with 42 points. So Charlie Taylor, and that man better watch out now that I think about it, with what's going on here. But Charlie Taylor, you know how they always do, right? When the NFL season about to start, some big death. Super Bowl's about to come, big death. Yeah, the man who scored 42 points, the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl, he better be on the lookout. Anyway, Charlie Taylor, 42, right? This is right after they renamed the team the Commanders. Now notice, his full name, Charles Robert Taylor, the exact same as Washington Commanders, right? He dies 17 days after they renamed the team on February 2nd. And again, Dead in Black History Month, Commanders 42, February 42, number 42. From his birthday, his September 28th birthday, to his death on February 19th, 144 days later, Jesuit Order 144. And keep in mind, Jesuit and Georgetown are also 42, right there in D.C., the nation's first Jesuit university. Isn't it kind of interesting? Like, you would never guess. I say, okay, you see that cipher where Jesuit's 42? Georgetown's a long word. But look at how clever it is. Georgetown in that cipher is 42, the nation's first Jesuit university. So, you could also say he died on his 18th day of his age, 17 days after his birthday's kill. IHS is 18, the letters in the Jesuit acronym. IHS for Jesus Hominum Salvator, which equals National Football League. They both equal 85 in the most pure. Pope Francis, 85 right now. He died on the kill date, February 20th, 2022. That was the same day Juwan Howard slapped a man. I don't know if that fits in. I'll have to think more about that. But that was the kill date because 44-64 numerology kills 44 and 64. He was drafted in 64. The draft again, syncing up with his death. Drafted in 64, dead on the 64 date. Dead at age 80, 144 days after his birthday. And he was also dead 38 years after being inducted in the Hall of Fame. Death, murder, killing, RIP 38. Remember Russell Wilson. Russell, he's got that 83 in his name. Colorado, the 38th state, has the 38 and 83. Russell Wilson goes to the Colorado team, the Denver Broncos, on March 8th. And remember, he was drafted by the Denver Rockies the day before his dad died when he was still playing college football. Played at Wisconsin. Juwan Howard slapped the Wisconsin coach. Nirvana's album was recorded in Wisconsin, even though they're a Seattle band. You guys want to say something funny about Wisconsin and Will Smith real quick? Wisconsin, Will Smith. Remember, Juwan Howard slapped the Wisconsin coach 5 weeks before Will Smith and was drafted 5th overall in 94. Will Smith, 5th best black actor at the 94th Oscars after the death of Sidney Poitier, the first at age 94. And not to mention, Sidney Poitier equals 183. Will Smith won the Oscar 183 days after his birthday. But Will Smith and Wisconsin are the exact same in all ciphers. Isn't that weird? You don't think college is synced up with pro, synced up with the movies, synced up with your politics, synced up with your programming? Again, I mean, if you can't see that this is what they're doing, when I can show this day after day, every single fucking day, then, I mean, you're slow. You're what they wanted. Brain dead. Go back and listen to Eminem. You know what? Here. Speaking of Eminem and just sellout musicians, I'm not saying Goody Mob is a sellout musician. I'm not saying CeeLo Green is a sellout musician. I'm going to endorse them. Good message in the music. That's the thing about Goody Mob. They always had a good, uplifting music. Don't do too much drugs. Don't be a loser. Be smart, you know? Be on your hustle. Mostly good message. Songs like Cell Therapy. Go back and read all the lyrics to that song. You know, go back. We've already done it in the past. But I was just going to look up. Oh my goodness. I'm 2 tenths gentle. I was going to look up a sellout musician who just did something so major. I got to rewind my own stream. Damn, what was I going to say? Because it was important. Anyway, I guess this is a sign. I'm 2 tenths gentle. I'm too ADHD right now. I think it's because I didn't get enough sleep last night. I woke up. Sean Taylor's dead. It just irks me, man. That's the first thing I find out. I wake up. That's what I do, you guys. I do a little exercise real quick in the morning, not nearly enough. Look at what's in the news, and boom, Sean Taylor dead. That's the news, and it's just like, oh my God, on 4-9 again. Last year, talking about DMX and his relation to football. I wish I could remember what I was about to say, though. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Eminem. Here, I'm glad it came back. I'm going to just listen to what I'm about to say. Just watch how this all comes together. People who are old enough, who are my age, will remember all this. So remember, you had the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day leaving 91 days left in the year. Not to mention, I had predicted all that year why we were going to see a major false flag when that happened and why it'd probably be the worst since 9/11, which was exactly true. And I knew that from this number code. And anyway, it was the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting on the day leaving 91 days left in the year. Keep in mind, 91's the 13th triangular number, and they kept giving you the image of the supposed shooter whose eyes were shut, eyes wide shut with a 13 on his neck. But anyway, Route 91 on the day leaving 91 days, October 1st, and then Eminem puts out a music video called Darkness about it, where the music video is about the shooter on that day. And Darkness comes out on January 16th, which was 91 days after this video comes out 91 days after his birthday. And this video, if you have not watched it, go watch it. At the end of the video, there's a government announcement asking you to contact the FBI to find out where you can turn in your weapons. So this is a piece of propaganda to persuade you that maybe you shouldn't have guns. They're dangerous. They're killing people. Now rewind the tape to Eminem. You know, I can't remember if it was his very first album or his second album now, but he has the verse on there, something like, take so many kids from Columbine, stand them all in line, shoot them one at a time, an AK, a revolver, a 9, something like that. You know, I think he makes it a little better, a little snappier, but it's something like that. And that was a big controversy at the time because that was after the Columbine shooting. And for those of you who are younger, ever since the Columbine shooting, mass shootings in America have been a lot more constant and bigger focus because just in this period of time, there's also been more gun legislation. It's become a lot harder and a lot more expensive to become a gun owner. They don't want you guys to have the right to protect yourselves in the day where you really feel like you need to from intrusion. And that day is coming as less people than ever are armed, which makes it easier for governments. See, again, you have to think about things like this. Right now, they're drafting the World Health Organization and the participating nations. They're drafting agreements for how in the next pandemic, how to make sure like entire populaces are vaccinated very quickly to shut down a pandemic. And a lot of people in the world think this is great. Oh man, I'd hate to have to be shut down for a year and a half again. So yeah, I hope they can get us vaccinated a lot faster and just reopen more quickly. For people who are thinking like this, they are like, I mean, these are the sheep being led to slaughter. For the people who are seeing what's really going on, how the billionaires got way wealthier, how people lost their businesses, a lot of people committed suicide because of everything going on, from social isolation to losing their business to, maybe their baby boomer parent, going quicker than they expected because, as they've told you, I mean, most of the deaths happen rapidly for people who are around age 80. They told you on the news it was 99.9 something percent survivable, but the majority of the deaths were people age 80, And again, I'll remind you, my grandma died in her mid-80s the spring before coronavirus, and her death went down as flu and pneumonia, which is what, funny enough, coronavirus was originally coined as in 1968. But anyway, the thing is, if you have a society that's up on things, that realizes their government's fucking with them and they're armed, and then your government goes to Switzerland and comes up with the new policy for how they now have the right, and this hasn't happened yet, so this shouldn't be taken down for medical misinformation. I'm just doing sci-fi thinking here. What could come? It could be 20 years from now. But in this future, now governments, man, they're allowed to just come in and bust in your door if on your phone, which has a great COVID meter, which is government mandatory, otherwise your signal's offline. Man, if your indicator suggests that you're sick, the authorities are going to be there in 5 seconds flat to stick a needle up your ass. Like in China, how you have to bend over, you have to get the old swabby swab. But if that's the future, that future would still be a lot harder for the government to execute if they know their people are up on things and they're waiting there with the shotgun at the door with the 3.5-inch shells. And, they're going to blow you back into the tank you came from. There's a lot less people that want that job of going through the door for the mandatory ass vax. It's got the highest death percentage in the world. Yeah, a lot of citizens ended up getting killed and are doing time too, but you know what they knew? Standing up for freedom and rights and liberties was what you had to do if anybody was going to have quality of life. But see, Eminem, who starts out as this controversial, I don't give a fuck about Columbine, making fun of the mass shooting, who cares if that's the news story? An attitude that I understood back then, because I was like, exactly, man. People just worship mainstream and just go along with everything. This guy's, when I was a young teenager in high school, when Eminem came out, my thought was like, okay, this guy's just trying to make people think about things. Yeah, he's definitely, at this day and age, what we describe as a bit of a troll, but he's clever and he's trying to, at first, when they came out with Hi, My Name Is, I just thought, oh my God, I thought hip-hop music couldn't get any worse as we turn into 2000. But then I heard his first album and I was like, okay, he's pretty clever and smart and he's trying to provoke you. But anyway, that's who they introduced him as, right? But look at him who he is 20 years later. 20 years later, he's the guy doing the, oh my God, psychopaths have guns. And at the end of my video, let me see if I got the screenshot in here. And by the way, 91 the 13th triangular, you saw this image everywhere of the shooter with a 13 on his neck. If you had 1 through 13 together, it's 91. 13th triangular number. Triangular number, they're related to pyramids. How many layers of bricks are on the US dollar bill? Oh, that's right, there's 13. How many years of slave school? 13. How many stripes on the flag? 13. How many colonies? 13. Jesus and his 12 disciples? 13. The sun and the 12 constellations? 13. What's on the top of the pyramid after the 13 layers of bricks? An all-seeing eye with sun rays coming off of it, Anyway. Here, I think at the end of this, I do have... There's a lot of things in here. Okay, at the end of this, when will this end? This is at the end of the music video. And... where's it at? So... if you go to this, it was like an FBI, how to turn in your guns. And it's just like, come on, man. Yeah, people can't see that these guys were bought and sold all along. And they've been like baiting us the whole time. And I maybe that's how they do it over a generation to keep people in mind control. People grow up on that rebellious, oh yeah, I like Eminem, but I'm growing up like Eminem now too. And maybe now it's not funny, a mass shooting. Maybe I should turn in my guns, I was in my 20s back then. Now I'm in my 40s. And everybody else around the water cooler, they'd only care about Will Smith and turning in guns. I wouldn't dare bring up at the water cooler what happened to Dwayne Haskins in the Gematria Code because then they'd make fun of me. I don't like when people make fun of me. Man, if I shared this, even though it's important, they'd make fun of me. So I don't think I'm going to share it because I don't like being made fun of. And I know this is the case for almost everybody. And that's when you realize everything that happened to you in elementary school, it's everything that's still happening to you today. You're still living the American dream. You still don't want to be bullied. You still just want to get through the day as easy as possible. You still don't want any friction. You still don't want to be made fun of, the outcast, the black sheep. So anyway, I played that song in the beginning, Soul Sunday. Because if you actually think about what's going on, it should shake your soul, you know? Again, football. Here, I want you guys to understand something. All roads lead to Rome. The word I is 35, right? Christmas Day, 1225. The square root of 1225 is 35, okay? The eye in the sky to the occultists is the sun. You know, it's the eye of God. Catholic is 35 when you use numerology, just like Holy See. And they spell it C, like see with your eye. Holy See 35. They used to rule over Europe, 35. How'd they do it? With Jesuitism, with dirty tricks, 35. Look up the definition of Jesuitism from 200 years ago. Trickery and deception. But, again, just this number. Tom Brady, you know, he has his stunt retirement while he's stuck on 35 playoff wins. All these 35 rituals in his whole career. Tom Brady, in the mind's eye of, you know, billions of people worldwide. They know his story, his greatness, the Patriots. After 9/11 and the Patriot Act, they know, in that same mind's eye, they know about 9/11. You know, they know about all kinds of shit. But one of the things that's not in there is Gematria. There hardly anybody got Gematria in their mind. And it's going to stay that way as long as everybody keeps watching a video like this and go, man, I wish I could share this, but I'm just going to get made fun of. When that attitude changes, things will start to change too. Because then instead of one person sharing, there'll be 100 more people sharing, which means they'll be spreading 100 times faster, even though it's still too slow. But if those 100 people do what, you know, 100 more people should do, and really 1,000 more, maybe 1,000,000 more, then eventually it'll happen, you know? So, anyhow. Appreciate everyone who tuned in. Hopefully you were able to follow along because that was like a broken puzzle, and it might be the Mary Jane's fault. I did smoke a little bit this morning. I've been trying not to smoke in the morning, but honestly, man, just like I have weaknesses to it. The stories like this really bother me. You know, they do. They just bother me that I have to continue to keep reporting on this, and people keep not getting it. And I got channels with 500,000 subscribers who could help make all the difference, but whenever they talk about the work, they just make fun of it. It's sad, man. It's sad. And then watch. They'll be celebrating these games too, these same people. Anyway, we'll leave it there, you guys. I think I said it all, but I probably forgot 50 things. So if I forgot anything, just read the blog, watch some other videos. It's in there somewhere. Till next time.